Ladies and gentlemen, I am Denzel Washington, and I want you to enjoy your life. If you truly want a positive change in your life, don't just listen. Take action. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you can receive more inspiring messages. Lions don't roar when they hunt. The quietest moves often lead to the loudest victories. You don't need to announce your next step. Just make sure it's strong enough to echo. In a world obsessed with exposure, where every achievement is shared instantly and every plan is posted before it's even executed, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that visibility equals value. Social media has conditioned us to believe that progress is only real if it's on display. But that illusion is dangerous because strategy, real strategy, doesn't shout. It doesn't wave its arms or light up with applause. Strategy happens in silence. It happens in solitude. And most of all, it happens internally, long before it's ever seen externally. We live in a culture where people are more concerned about looking successful than being successful. They chase likes instead of results and followers instead of impact. They announce their goals, not because they're committed to them, but because they want the dopamine hit of approval. They want the praise before the process. But the truth is, announcing your intentions doesn't make you disciplined. Talking about your next move doesn't make you wise. It makes you vulnerable. It makes you predictable. And it exposes your strategy before it's even had a chance to mature. The moment you broadcast your direction, you invite opinion. And opinions, whether good or bad, start to shape you. People begin to influence your path, question your methods, or worse, copy your ideas before you even built the foundation. And once something is public, it's no longer protected. That's why the wisest people aren't always the loudest. They're the ones working in the shadows, refining in silence, and waiting patiently for the right moment to emerge. Visibility is not strategy. Strategy is discipline. It's vision. It's the quiet resolve to do what must be done, whether anyone notices or not. The real builders, the ones who achieve lasting success, understand this deeply. They don't need the world to know what they're doing. They need to know it themselves. Their self-belief doesn't come from outside validation. It comes from clarity of purpose, from focused work, and from the confidence that when it's time to show up, the results will speak louder than any announcement ever could. Premature design is denial and hiding. Use activity with effectiveness. Just because you're in motion doesn't mean you're going somewhere meaningful. Just because people are watching you doesn't mean you're winning. The most effective moves are often made when no one is looking. Think of the bamboo tree. It doesn't break through the ground for years, but underground, it's building a root system so strong that when it finally breaks the surface, shoots up almost overnight. That's what strategy looks like. It's invisible until it's undeniable. Too many people burn out trying to prove they're doing something. They waste energy curating an image instead of crafting a reality. They sacrifice the depth of their progress for the illusion of momentum. But momentum that's not grounded in strategy will collapse under pressure. You don't need to prove anything to the world before it's time. You need to be faithful to the process, even when it's unseen, especially when it's unseen. Visibility is not strategy. Strategy is restraint. It's choosing to delay recognition until the work is undeniable. And in that delay, in that deliberate choice to keep your move hidden, you gain power. You gain focus. And ultimately, you gain results that cannot be ignored. Silence is one of the most underrated powers in the world. In a culture that rewards noise, attention, and performance, silence is often mistaken for weakness, uncertainty, or lack of confidence. But the truth is, silence is a tool of the wise, a shield of the strong, and a weapon for those who truly understand power. It's in silence that clarity is born, and it is through silence that strength is cultivated. The most powerful individuals throughout history have known when to speak and when to stay quiet. They didn't waste energy explaining themselves to those who were committed to misunderstanding them. They didn't feel the need to defend every decision, broadcast every move, or answer every challenge. They understood something most people forget. Not everything needs a response. Not every opinion deserves an answer. Not every plan should be exposed. The world conditions us to react. We're taught to respond instantly, to comment, to engage, to prove ourselves constantly. But silence teaches patience. It teaches control. When you choose silence, you're not surrendering your power, you're protecting it. You're conserving it for the right moment, for the battle that actually matters. Because when you speak too soon, you give others ammunition. You let them into your mind, into your strategy, into your emotions. But when you remain silent, they are left guessing. That uncertainty unsettles them. That restraint disarms them. Silence creates mystery, and mystery commands attention. There's a certain dignity in silence, a quiet strength that doesn't need the spotlight to feel validated. It doesn't need praise to feel purposeful. People who build power through silence aren't looking for applause. They're working for results. They're not interested in being loud. They're focused on being effective. While others are busy explaining, performing, defending, or justifying. They are building, thinking, preparing, and when they finally act, they do so with a force that surprises everyone. Because no one saw it coming. In silence, there is observation. You see what others miss because you're not speaking over it. You hear the things people try to hide because you're not so busy trying to be heard. Silence allows you to study the room, read the energy, assess the motives. You learn who's real and who's pretending. You learn when to move and when to wait. And the more you practice it, the sharper your instincts become. Silence becomes your training ground for strategy, discernment, and wisdom. People often associate power with dominance, being the loudest, the strongest, the most forceful. But true power isn't always seen. It doesn't need to be. A storm gathers in silence before it crashes into the sky. A sea breaks open in the soil without sound. The most important changes happen in quiet. The most dangerous animals are often the ones that strike without a roar. And the strongest people are usually the ones who know they don't need to announce their every move. When you're silent, you're not distracted by the noise of others. You can hear your own intuition. You can stay connected to your purpose without being pulled in 100 different directions. And most importantly, you become immune to the need for constant validation. You start building for yourself, not for their approval. You start living with intent instead of performance. Silence gives you the power to focus. It protects your peace from unnecessary battles. It shields your goals from premature exposure. It allows your actions to speak when the time is right. And actions, real undeniable actions, speak louder than any words ever could. When you learn to master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, there is no greater source of power. Predictability may feel safe, but in truth, it is one of the greatest vulnerabilities you can carry. When people know your patterns, when they can guess your next move before you make it, they have power over you. They can plan around you, prepare for you, manipulate outcomes to their advantage, and limit your advantage. Predictability removes your advantage. It strips you of your edge. It tells the world who you are and what you're going to do. And in doing so, it hands over control. In life, as in chess, the strongest players aren't just those with good moves. They are the ones who stay 5 steps ahead while never revealing what those steps are. They don't telegraph their intentions. They don't play emotionally or reactively. They plan in silence and strike with precision. They keep their faces calm, their strategies hidden, and their timing unexpected. Their unpredictability becomes their greatest armor. Because when people can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. And when they can't prepare for you, you maintain the upper hand. People often fall into the trap of being overly transparent about their goals, their frustrations, their timelines, and their dreams. They speak too soon and too often. They believe that openness shows confidence and clarity. But there's a difference between honesty and overexposure. Being honest doesn't mean broadcasting every detail of your journey. It means staying aligned with your truth while knowing that not everyone needs to be invited into your process. When you become predictable, you become controllable. And once you're controllable, you're no longer leading your own life. You're reacting to the expectations others have set for you. There's also a false comfort in predictability. People find identity in routines and validation and recognition. They think that repeating the same responses, the same habits, and the same conversations keeps them grounded. But in reality, it locks them in. Predictability boxes you into an identity that others understand, but it may not be the one that allows you to grow. Every time someone thinks they have you figured out, you become easier to dismiss, easier to categorize, easier to defeat, and that becomes a danger when life demands change, adaptability, and surprise. Being unpredictable doesn't mean being chaotic or inconsistent. It means being aware of what you reveal and what you conceal. It means protecting the privacy of your process and the sanctity of your timing. It means refusing to hand your blueprint to people who may not have your best interest at heart. It means cultivating mystery, not for manipulation, but for preservation. Because the less others know about your next move, the less they can interfere with it. And the less they can interfere with it, the greater your chances of executing it with full power. In warfare, the element of surprise often determines victory. In sports, the most dangerous players are those who can change rhythm without warning. In business, disruptive ideas thrive not because they were loud, but because they were unexpected. Predictability allows others to set traps, but unpredictability keeps them off balance. When people don't know what you're going to do next, they hesitate, and hesitation creates opportunity. Every moment someone spends trying to figure you out is the moment you gain to advance with clarity and control. The world is full of people who repeat themselves, who make their motives obvious, and who give away their entire strategy before it's even executed. And those people rarely win in the long game. They're always responding, always being adjusted for, always being countered. But those who move quietly, who surprise with grace and precision, who think deeply and reveal selectively, those are the ones who shift outcomes. Those are the ones who rise. Those are the ones who win. The element of surprise is one of the most powerful weapons in anyone's arsenal, yet it is often underappreciated. In a world where everyone seems to be trying to predict the next move of those around them, the ability to remain unpredictable is not just a strategic advantage, it's a form of dominance. The reason surprise is so potent is because it completely shifts the balance of power. It disorients your opponents, confuses your competitors, and throws everyone off course. They are left reacting to you instead of you reacting to them. This shift is what makes the element of surprise such a formidable tool. In business, sports, or any arena of life, there is nothing more powerful than catching someone off guard. The person who can introduce the unexpected, who can break the pattern of predictability, holds the reins of the situation. When people know what you're going to do next, they can counter it, plan for it, and stop you. But when you do the unexpected, when you break from the norm and present something fresh and unanticipated, they are forced to react rather than act. And reaction is always weaker than action. Those who are always prepared for what you're going to do next are the ones who remain stuck, constantly adjusting and never progressing. But you, the one who keeps them guessing, are the one who moves forward, shaping the course of events in your favor. The element of surprise isn't just for grand gestures. It doesn't have to be a drastic or dramatic move to have an impact. Sometimes it's the small, subtle changes that catch people off guard. It's the subtle shift in your approach, the unexpected detail in your work, the move that no one saw coming that leaves them scrambling to adjust. These smaller moments of surprise are just as powerful as the large, sweeping action. For the key to the element of surprise is not making people think you've done something out of character. Surprise allows you to keep your opponents off balance, forcing them to spend their energy trying to figure out what you will do next instead of focusing on their own moves. It shifts the psychological advantage in your direction. When someone is surprised by your actions, they are no longer controlling the situation. Their confidence drops, their preparation fails, and their ability to predict the outcome becomes nullified. You've disrupted their rhythm, and now they are playing catch up while you continue to advance. In military strategy, the element of surprise has been used for centuries to win battles that would otherwise have been lost. Think of how many conflicts were won by outsmarting an enemy, by catching them off guard when they were least expecting it. The same principle applies in business. If you can innovate in a way that no one sees coming, you gain an enormous advantage. Think of companies that disrupt industries, not by matching the existing competition, but by doing something no one thought possible. They surprise the market, and in doing so, they redefine what's possible and shape the future. In sports, the element of surprise is often what separates good athletes from great ones. A well-timed move that no one anticipated can change the course of a game. Whether it's a sudden shift in strategy, an unexpected play, or a change in pace, the ability to surprise your opponent can be the difference between victory and defeat. The great athletes don't just react to what's happening. They set the pace, they create the moments, and they keep their opponents guessing until it's too late. But surprise doesn't come without preparation. It's not about making a move without thought. It's about being so well prepared, so in tune with your own strategy, that when the time comes to change the game, you can do so effortlessly. Surprise is not randomness. It's calculated, deliberate, and executed with precision. It's not about being unpredictable for the sake of chaos. It's about knowing exactly when and how to break the pattern in a way that benefits you. The element of surprise, when used correctly, can completely flip the script and put you in control of the narrative. It forces everyone else to adjust to you, not the other way around. In a world where most people are stuck in the cycle of predictability, mastering the element of surprise can set you apart. It's about creating an environment where your actions are always fresh, always unexpected, and always impactful. It's about being the one who is always in control, dictating the terms of engagement and forcing everyone else to play by your rules. The element of surprise is a weapon, and those who wield it effectively are the ones who win. In a world where validation is often sought from others, the true power lies in seeking internal validation instead. We live in a society that constantly encourages external approval, likes, comments, accolades, and praise from others. It's easy to get caught up in this endless cycle, measuring your worth based on how others perceive you. But the most fulfilling and sustainable form of success comes not from the approval of others, but from the deep, unshakable confidence that comes from within. Internal validation is the cornerstone of self-reliance, self-worth, and true peace. When we rely on external validation, we are giving up control. We allow the opinions of others to define our actions, our choices, and ultimately our happiness. External validation is fleeting, it's momentary, dependent on the whims of others, and often unreliable. One moment people may applaud you, and the next they may criticize you. This constant fluctuation creates a roller coaster of emotions, making it difficult to find any real sense of stability. If your worth is tied to the approval of others, you will constantly be at the mercy of their opinions. Their validation becomes your lifeline. And when that lifeline is cut, you're left feeling lost, unimportant, or discouraged. On the other hand, when you cultivate internal validation, you no longer need the approval of others to feel good about yourself. Your sense of self-worth is rooted in your own values, beliefs, and accomplishments. It's not dependent on how many people agree with you, how many followers you have, or how many likes you receive on a post. It comes from knowing that you are enough just as you are. When you validate yourself internally, you create a foundation of self-respect and confidence that cannot be easily shaken by external circumstances. Internal validation empowers you to take ownership of your life. When you validate yourself, you are affirming your own choices, your decisions, and your path. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to others or seek their approval. You become more focused on your own growth, development, and happiness. This self-sufficiency allows you to make decisions that align with your values. even if they are unpopular or misunderstood by others. Internal validation allows you to be true to yourself without the constant need for external approval. The truth is, most people don't know your full journey, your struggles, your sacrifices, or your dreams. They can't truly understand what drives you or what you need. Their approval is based on their limited perspective, not your full reality. By seeking validation from others, you're allowing them to judge you from a place of ignorance. Internal validation, on the other hand, comes from a place of self-awareness and deep understanding of your own motivations. It's about trusting yourself, your abilities, and your instincts, even when others may not see your vision. When you embrace internal validation, you stop comparing yourself to others. The need to measure up, to compete, or to outshine fades away. You are no longer bound by the standards set by society, culture, or others. Instead, you create your own standards and live by them. This shift in mindset is liberating. You no longer have to live up to someone else's expectations because you have set your own. You can move forward with confidence, knowing that you are living according to your true self, not a version of yourself crafted to gain approval. Internal validation also fosters resilience. When you are validated from within, you are more equipped to handle criticism, rejection, or failure. You don't crumble when someone disagrees with you or when things don't go as planned. Instead, you bounce back stronger because your sense of self-worth is not tied to external circumstances. You know that your value is inherent, not conditional. The harsh opinions or judgments of others may sting, but they won't define you. Your internal validation is your armor, protecting you from the negativity that might otherwise derail you. In a world that constantly demands more from us, internal validation allows us to find contentment in who we are, not just what we achieve. It allows us to celebrate our own progress, no matter how small, without needing someone else to acknowledge it. It gives us the courage to pursue our dreams, even if they don't fit into the mold that others have created for us. When you validate yourself internally, you become your own biggest supporter. You become your own source of motivation. And that is a power unlike any other. True success is not about what others think of you. It's about how you feel about yourself. When you cultivate internal validation, you build a life that is solid, unshakable, and deeply fulfilling. You become immune to the external noise and distractions that often derail people from their path. You become free, and that freedom is the ultimate form of success. In a world that constantly demands validation, attention, and recognition, there's something profoundly powerful about letting your results speak for themselves. Too often, people feel the need to announce their intentions, explain their actions, or justify their efforts in a bid for approval. They try to convince others of their worth, their abilities, or their potential, often resorting to words or gestures that are meant to build a narrative around who they are. However, the most impactful and lasting message you can send is not one crafted by words, but one demonstrated through results. Results are the ultimate proof of your efforts, the irrefutable evidence of your abilities, and the tangible manifestation of your determination. They require no explanation, no boasting, and no validation. When you allow your results to speak for you, you shift the focus from self-promotion to self-realization. You allow the quality and impact of your work to convey your value, capabilities, and commitment, leaving no room for doubt or misunderstanding. Words, no matter how eloquent, can easily be misunderstood, manipulated, or forgotten. They rely on interpretation, and often people hear only what they want to hear. But results, they stand alone. They don't need to be interpreted. They simply exist. Whether it's a product, a service, a project, or a personal achievement, results are the undeniable proof that you've done the work. And in a world that often demands more than just intentions, results are the ultimate measure of success. When you let your results do the talking, you take the focus off of yourself and put it on the impact you're creating. You stop needing to explain why you're worthy or why your work matters, because the results make it clear. The best leaders, innovators, and achievers are not those who are constantly talking about what they plan to do. They are the ones whose work speaks volumes without saying a word. Their success, accomplishments, and impact are evident in their actions, their creations, and the legacy they leave behind. In essence, they let their results do the talking for them. This approach to success also breeds authenticity. When you focus on delivering results, you are less concerned with how you are perceived or what people think about you. You are focused on your mission, your goal, and the quality of what you produce. The desire to impress, to gain approval, or to win popularity fades away because you are no longer seeking external validation. Instead, your energy is channeled into the work itself, the process of creation, and the satisfaction of knowing that your efforts are being realized. This shift in focus from external recognition to internal fulfillment fosters a sense of purpose that is more rewarding and sustainable in the long run. Letting your results speak also saves you from the trap of over-explanation. In a world where everyone feels the need to justify their actions or prove their worth, it's easy to get caught up in defending your decisions or over-explaining your choices. But in doing so, you often detract from the quality of the work itself. So rather than talking about how great your ideas are, let your ideas stand on their own. The work you do, the results you produce, and the difference you make will always speak louder than any words ever could. There is also unique power in silence. When you don't feel the need to constantly explain, justify, or defend your choices, you allow your actions to take center stage. You create a sense of mystery and intrigue. People begin to wonder what you're working on, how you're achieving success, and what's driving you. They see the results, and it makes them curious. It gives your work a sense of weight and significance that is often lost when you are constantly speaking about it. Your results become the conversation. And people begin to take notice without you having to say a word. Moreover, results are the clearest reflection of your growth. Every step forward, every accomplishment, every outcome is a direct reflection of how far you've come. When you let your results speak for themselves, you are showcasing not only the fruits of your labor, but also the transformation you've undergone to reach that point. Each result is a testament to your evolution, your resilience, and your commitment to the journey. It shows the world that you have done the work, and in turn, it forces others to recognize your abilities and achievements without the need for constant self-promotion. The key to success is not found in the noise you make, but in the impact you create. When you let your results be your voice, you allow the world to see your worth through the quality of what you produce. You no longer need to shout to be heard. Your work, your achievements, and the difference you make will speak for you. And they will speak louder and more powerfully than any words ever could. Let your results tell the story, and let that story be the one that defines you. In a world that constantly pressures us to prove ourselves, the most powerful message we can send is one that is rooted in our actions rather than our words. When we stop seeking validation from others and instead focus on producing meaningful results, we shift the narrative. We move away from explaining our worth and start demonstrating it through our work, our achievements, and the impact we make. Results don't need justification. They don't need to be debated. They simply speak for themselves. They tell the story of our dedication, our progress, and our ability to persevere even in the face of challenges. By choosing to let our results be our voice, we free ourselves from the need to constantly explain or defend our decisions. We place our trust in the process, knowing that every effort we put in will eventually reflect in the outcomes we achieve. This shift in mindset brings a sense of peace, knowing that we are not measured by the fleeting opinions of others, but by the lasting effects of our work. Our results become the proof of our worth, and in that proof lies our true power. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Your support helps us reach more people and spread the message.